And please welcome His Excellency Gitanas Nausėda, President of the Republic of Lithuania.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Baltic Sea High-Level Energy Security Meeting in Vilnius. Today's event carries on the message set at the inaugural summit hosted by Denmark in August 2022. Indeed, the call for an increased energy resilience and Europe's independence from Russian energy, as expressed in Marienburg Declaration, remains highly relevant today. Discussions about the security of energy supply, energy affordability, and the acceleration of green energy production in the Baltic Sea region are crucially important for our plans to build a better, safer, and more prosperous future. Our shared commitment and dedicated efforts have already brought significant changes to regional energy security. In the wake of Russia's full-scale war of aggression against Ukraine, we have demonstrated an impressive shutdown on important fossil fuels and electricity from Russia. Our collective dependence on Russian resources is rapidly diminishing. Lithuania, having stopped gas, oil, and electricity imports from Russia as early as April 2022, will never look back. All the hard lessons of these past 2 years and of decades before that have shown us there is no other option but to disentangle them from Russia completely. No reversal to the past dependence is even conceivable. Previous addiction to Russia's gas cannot be replaced by Russian LNG imports either. We were cautioned, no, we were even threatened that Europe will not be able to survive without Russian gas. And yet, here we are, after another winter season, safe and sound, with no impending doom in sight. Our proactive diversification of gas suppliers was key in helping us withstand the pressure. Today, in mid-April, Europe's gas storages stand at record highs, filled to 60% capacity. In addition, gas and electricity prices have already dropped to the pre-war levels of 2021. By all indications, we will successfully prepare for the next winter as well. Nevertheless, it should be noted that our most recent accomplishments rest on short-term measures. For long-term stability, we need to take additional steps. We must ensure that supply of affordable green energy to safeguard our energy security, meet our climate change targets, and maintain Europe's international competitiveness. What we need is a radical transformation of energy system, accelerating deployment of renewables, energy efficiency, flexibility, energy storage, and innovative technologies, and strengthening our interconnectivity. A shift towards renewable energy is no longer a choice, but a necessity. And here we again benefit from having the Baltic Sea nearby. Its potential for renewable energy is still untapped, especially in the eastern part of the sea. The offshore wind energy in the Baltic Sea could and should play an immense role in energy decarbonization, diversification, and electrification. Scaling up combined solar, onshore, and offshore wind resources would open a new reality of affordable local production, security of supply, and last but not least, new technologies, industries, and services. We must also use this opportunity to recover clean energy technology development and production in Europe, which is currently concentrated on other continents. Here in Lithuania, as well in other Nordic countries, the heating sector must also be decarbonized as quickly as possible, moving towards to emissions-free clean heating production and storage. For this, too, we need as much clean energy as possible. Simply put, we need more renewables, including offshore wind. Only an oversupply of electricity will enable the production of green hydrogen needed for industry decarbonization and a net zero economy. Here in Lithuania, we have started to develop 2 offshore wind projects. Together with other projects, they would help us to reach 100% goal of renewable electricity consumption by 2030. Moreover, these offshore wind projects could attract over 3 billion euro investments and create thousands of jobs, bringing great benefits to the national economy, consumers, and local businesses. We feel that involving local businesses and local communities and sharing benefits with them is essential for the success of renewable energy projects. Therefore, Lithuania pays special attention to include communities and municipalities in the planning and coordination processes and to allocate financial incentives to them. A scheme of producing consumers and remote prosumers democratizes energy transition and allows people to get involved in the green energy transformation. It is also great to know that Lithuania is not alone in this enterprise. Soon our Baltic Sea will host a lot of wind farms, energy hubs, interconnecting power lines, and other energy infrastructure facilities. All this will significantly contribute to Europe's energy security and bolster our competitiveness. This future will also have to be safeguarded. Today we must pay attention and devote resources to combating new emerging challenges, physical protection and resilience, including cyber, of our vital strategy energy infrastructure assets must be ensured. I am glad that this topic will be specifically addressed in today's discussion too. I salute the presence of the Assistant Secretary General of the NATO with us. NATO and the European Union must work together to increase the security of offshore and underwater infrastructure and deter possible malign activities in the Baltic Sea. Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand on the verge of profound change. This meeting signifies our commitment to a more secure, sustainable, and prosperous energy future for all. It also contributes to a broader debate on energy security and energy cooperation in Europe. Tomorrow, at the Free Seas Initiative Summit and the Business Forum held in Vilnius, we will talk about the ongoing energy transformation and net zero technologies. We will also talk about improving the transport, energy, and digital infrastructure interconnectivity of the 13 EU member states and partner countries between the Baltic, Adriatic, and Black Seas. As chair of the Three Seas Initiative, I seek to expand regional cooperation, building synergies among different initiatives and networks for a stronger and more resilient Europe. Today, I want to thank the Minister of Energy for organizing this event, and I wish you all an engaging discussion. Let us work together and let us build a more secure, cleaner and more sustainable energy sectors for generations to come. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before Minister returns in a few minutes, let me sail through the agenda. Very soon we will have 3 keynote speeches lasting until 9:45. Then we'll have coffee break until 10:15. And after that, high-level roundtable discussions. For today, we have 3 topics. First is energy security and resilience of critical energy infrastructure. And as a testimony to changes we are facing today, the keynote for that session will be made by Assistant Secretary General of NATO, David Van Wiel. The second session is offshore wind energy development in Baltic Sea and regional cooperation, with a focus on infrastructure and interconnectivity, and the Director of European Union Agency for the Cooperation of Energy Regulators will lead that session. After that, short networking lunch of 1 hour. So it will be rather late, 1:30, so I encourage you to use coffee break in full to be able to withstand that. And our last session is on energy economics, led by Giles Dixon, Chief Executive Officer of Wind Europe. So I hope the discussion will be useful, and after this meeting we will find some regional solutions and some solutions hopefully also at the European level. And now when the Minister is back, we are moving with our agenda, and for the first keynote speech I would like to invite Tine van der Straten, Minister of Energy of Belgium. Belgium is the President of the European Union for this semester, so Madam Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Albinas, for your introduction. Good morning to all of you, dear ministers for energy from the region, dear Dainius, dear Kaspars, dear Kristen, also the other representatives of the other Baltic countries, Germany, Denmark, and also good morning to you, Katarina, representative from the European Commission. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me here. It is, to me, as holding the rotating presidency to the EU Energy Council, very important to also listen from you, to listen to you and to hear from you directly. What are your concerns? What is your context? What are you living here today in the Baltic region? The past 2 years, they have been very turbulent and very unpredictable in the history of Europe's energy system. Responding to this energy crisis demanded much of our focus, much of our time, and much of our effort. And a lot has happened, but there is one particular moment that we all remember. 2 years ago, on the 23rd of February 2022, Ukraine disconnected from the Russian electricity grid. And only a couple of hours later, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And many believed at that time that Ukraine's pursuit of energy independence would be of short duration. However, 2 weeks later, it achieved complete synchronization with the continental European grid. The result was a success. It ensured the stability of Ukraine's electricity system and kept the lights on, even during the darkest winter hours. And now, still today, Ukraine is interconnected with over 400 million Europeans in 24 countries, most of which are in the EU. This was the result of political guidance in Energy Council from the EU ministers and from the European Commission. But it was the European TSOs who realized it. It was an incredible achievement. And this underlines the importance of cross-border energy infrastructure. Because grids are at the core of the energy system. Power generators, transmission and distribution lines, they all work together to deliver energy to millions of consumers across Europe, but not only. The synchronization with Ukraine also shows that cross-border energy infrastructure is a matter of geopolitical importance, of energy independence. And in this region, it cannot be underestimated. At the same time, cross-border energy infrastructure fosters competitive markets. It enables the free flow of electricity across borders, increasing market competition. Cross-border energy infrastructure also improves the stability and reliability of the electricity supply. It allows for the seamless exchange of electricity, reducing the risk of blackouts and power outages. But most importantly, interconnected grids facilitate the sharing of energy resources across borders. Regions with surplus renewable sources like wind or solar power can export their excess to areas with higher demand. And by allowing electricity to move across borders in a matter of minutes, interconnection creates a more flexible system that can balance geographic variations in wind and solar generation. It will be the basis of a new solidarity paradigm. It will be the basis of energy resilience. The clean energy transition was once born out of climate necessity, but it is now, as we heard from the President of Lithuania, an economic and a security imperative. A better connected Europe is therefore crucial for our continent. And this is precisely why the Belgian presidency has chosen to dedicate one of its energy themes to grids and energy infrastructure. The aim is to highlight the importance of improved coordination of energy infrastructure in the context of European regions and to suggest guidelines to the next Commission through presidency conclusion. And it is in a few days' time that we will meet the energy ministers of the European Union in Brussels for our informal energy council. And so this meeting here today and your insights here today from a political but also from a business perspective, from a regulatory and from a security perspective will provide very important insights to our meeting that we will be having on Monday and on Tuesday. They will focus on the need for well-coordinated, integrated planning of electricity networks and how to ensure the physical integrity and resilience of our energy infrastructure. Because physical but also cybersecurity of critical energy infrastructure in the EU is a top priority, particularly given the escalating geopolitical tensions. In the field of energy security, cybersecurity plays an important and ever-growing role as energy becomes increasingly digitalized. And we believe, as the Belgian presidency, that the European response, along with closer cooperation and coordination among member states, offers a solution to many bottlenecks. Ladies and gentlemen, it was the dream of Europe, without war, that created the European Community for Coal and Steel. Energy as an enabler of peace and prosperity. And once more today, we find ourselves facing the grim reality of war in Europe. And being here in Lithuania, I can say just across the border. However, it is crucial to recognize that amid these challenging times, renewable energy and an interconnected Europe offer us rays of hope and the dream of a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister van der Straten. Next keynote speaker is Katarina Sikovmani, Director for Green Transition and Energy System Integration of the European Commission. The floor is yours.
Good morning, also from the Commission side, and obviously regrets from my Commissioner, Kadri Simpson, who would have very much liked to be here today, but unfortunately could not make it. So I'm very pleased then to be able to represent the Commission here and to be here as a follow-up meeting to the Marienborg Summit. I could say that the Baltic Sea region is one of the front runners in terms of regional cooperation in the field of energy, and what we have achieved together in the last 15 years is actually incredible. I mean, we started from a situation where, for instance, in gas, the Baltic states and Finland were completely isolated. Now they are all connected. And in electricity, also the isolation of the Baltic states was remarkable. Now we have connections also in all directions. One thing only remaining to be completed in electricity, and we look forward to February 2025, when the Baltic states will be synchronized with the continental European grid through Poland. So looking forward to that important milestone. But more activities have taken place already in the Baltic Sea region, and with the Kriegers flag, we already have the first hybrid asset since years, and we are looking forward to seeing more to come, especially in Bornholm and Elwind projects. The work of high-level meetings like the one today, or the so-called BEMIP high-level group framework, have been instrumental in making all these things happen. So regional cooperation, working together, finding common solutions, learning from each other is essential. But also, I would say that EU support and EU financial support is important, and Connecting Europe facility has indeed provided quite some resources to work on ending the isolation and supporting the synchronization project. I would like to cite here one person from the region, one colleague working on all these issues, because I think it is something that shows the value of what we are doing together. So, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that is something that describes BEMIP, Baltic cooperation, the work here very well. And will help us also to go far in terms of renewables integration, renewables implementation, in getting offshore investments done. And the region, with planning, joint planning, working together, is already very far in this region, in this area. So going forward, going far, I would just like to have a couple of points on the question of energy security that we will of course discuss later today in more detail. So we from the Commission are very keen, very willing to continue the support and work together with all of you in this journey. And here important to concentrate our efforts on the most important, the most urgent actions together. So here the political steer and the political advice from all of you is very important. Then I already mentioned the regional cooperation, working together on planning. Offshore planning is the next one to come, is very important, so that we have our understanding on where we are, where we need to go, and how we can have the most efficient way of integrating renewables and decarbonizing our energy system and economy. We are already, third point, moving fast on decarbonizing the gas grids, and very important and timely work in this region through the discussion on gas market mergers, and the first hydrogen projects is something we are looking also forward to. And then the last point where our cooperation is moving, should perhaps have moved even faster, is how to protect the critical infrastructure, how to ensure that we are prepared for any cyber security risks. So this is the new priority for the BEMIP cooperation to start. So ladies and gentlemen, very pleased to be here today and look forward to the discussions in the sessions to come. So let's indeed go far, and let's go there all together. Many thanks.
Thank you, Katarina. Now I invite Dainius Kreivys, Minister of Energy of Lithuania, to make his address. The floor is yours, Minister.
Dear ministers, dear distinguished guests, colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome ministers, senior officials, transmission system operators, and offshore wind industry representatives coming from the states around the Baltic Sea. I would like also to extend my warmest welcome to our distinguished guest, European Commission representative Katarina Sikomagni, for green transition, energy system integration, and my dear friend, Tine van der Straten, Belgian minister who leads the Northern Sea Energy Cooperation with other Benelux countries and represents EU presidency. Indeed, there is no better time for such meeting than today. The last 2 years have brought enormous challenges for the energy sector all throughout Europe. And in the coming decades, we face the enormous challenge of making a complete transition to climate-neutral energy sources, replacing almost all the fossil fuels we use today. Electricity will become the most important source of energy. This will fundamentally change the way we produce, transmit, and consume energy. These circumstances open a whole new range of opportunities for offshore projects in the North and Baltic Seas. These are the future energy lungs of Europe. Both seas, with combined offshore wind potential, estimate nearly 400 gigawatts, will play a crucial role in development of electricity generating capacities, thus providing the oxygen for Europe's economic growth and prosperity. However, taking the full advantage of these future opportunities is only possible in one condition. We should first and foremost phase out fossil fuels, especially imports coming from Russia. Under the leadership of the European Commission, the EU has shown remarkable unity and succeeded in significantly reducing pipeline gas imports from Russia. The figures speak for themselves. From around 150 50 BCM to 44 BCM just in 2 years. We have also created and continue to develop alternative LNG import infrastructure, which has played a key role in reducing gas dependency. However, some negative trends related to Russian LNG imports are rather alarming. Over the last 2 years, Russian LNG imports to the EU have increased from around 13 BCM to 19 BCM and continue to grow. Existing LNG terminals and the future LNG capacities should diversify gas import routes and allow EU to stop importing Russian gas, not the other way around. These capacities must not become a backdoor from Russian gas to Europe. Lithuania was the first in the EU to stop imports of Russian gas, oil, and electricity. This was neither cheap nor easy. However, it's doable, therefore we invite other countries to follow this example. That said, that united approach is an answer. We see that used to be the route of Russian gas should now become the sea of our energy independence. To realize the full potential of offshore energy in the Baltic Sea, we need to find the most economically viable and beneficial instruments. Firstly, we need an energy infrastructure to enable the free movement of offshore wind energy across Europe. The development of this infrastructure should be accompanied by application of most cost-effective balancing instruments that are important for the operation of the energy systems. Secondly, we need long-term, interconnected, comprehensive strategic planning encompassing ONDPs, TYNDPs, and NCPs. As pan-European projects, they should be supported by effective and sufficient financial instruments at the EU level. Thirdly, we need to commit ourselves to a thorough coordination of national strategic documents and implementation plans, as well as clear identification of each country's role in the big picture. Allow me to elaborate. The current TYNDP provide a 10-year perspective. However, we are not convinced that these plans address the real need for grid infrastructure development to reach EU 2050 net zero targets. A recent study on Lithuania energy transition shows that electricity consumption will increase up to 6 times to achieve a net zero economy. This is a dramatic change, yet it's not captured in any of the TYNDPs for the next decade. Despite the increased uncertainty in long-term planning, we are already seeing signs that grid infrastructure should be ahead of the curve to enable further development of renewables and decarbonization in different sectors. The first offshore network development plans, ONDP, are a very important step toward the long-term planning of energy infrastructure to put into effect full potential of offshore wind. However, the current ONDP lack integration not only with NSOE TYNDPs, but also with hydrogen infrastructure planning. I would like to make a suggestion for NSOG to develop ONDP for hydrogen, which would be compatible with ONDP for electricity. We should explore the ways to optimize the development of both electricity and hydrogen offshore and offshore infrastructure, including the development of energy hubs. The development of cross-border electricity and hydrogen infrastructure should support rather than compete with each other. In this context, we need to further develop the ONDP to reach its full maturity. This brings me to yet another very important issue. Timely and adequate development of energy infrastructure is directly dependent on the efficient financial instruments at EU level. The Connecting Europe facility has been instrumental to this. We should scale it up. The European Commission could play a key role in creating a framework for forward-looking investment to deliver future-proof energy networks. We should also aim to increase cooperation across the European continent on energy system planning and related optimization of grid infrastructure. We foresee a strong need to promote cooperation and coordination at both EU and regional levels. We will support cross-border coordination and planning at regional level, including North and Baltic Sea region. We also see potential risk of uneven development across the EU. Cross-regional coordination and EU involvement should ensure that each region develops at sufficient pace and has access at necessary funding resources. And finally, we must also ensure the full resilience and protection of our critical energy infrastructure against cyber and physical threats. I'm honored that NATO Assistant Secretary David Van Biel has accepted the invitation to join us today. There is so much we need to do to protect our energy infrastructure and ensure energy security, especially now when there is a war just behind our doors. This can be also a win-win game if national authorities work hand in hand for the benefit of both national and energy security. Russia's war in Ukraine has reminded us the importance of ensuring the resilience of our energy infrastructure against cyber and physical threats. We must ensure security of supply, which is in the event of war, becomes core part of our physical and economical survival. There is so much we can learn from Ukraine. Energy security has always been a very important part of Lithuania's national security. From the beginning of war in Ukraine, there has been significant increase of cyber attempts to attack our energy infrastructure. Therefore, we increased the security requirements for critical infrastructure operators and are working closely with our national security institutions as well as NATO Energy Security Center of Excellence. A coordinated response by like-minded countries is essential, especially because most of these threats cross our national borders. It goes without saying that the protection of energy infrastructure becomes even more important when we consider our plans to develop offshore wind farms and other strategic infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. Therefore, there is no better timing for Vilnius Declaration, which sets out our common understanding on the most pressing energy security issues. In the Vilnius Declaration signifies our willingness to continue working together to phase out fossil fuels, in particular from Russia, to further develop offshore wind energy, to promote regional cooperation with focus on infrastructure interconnection, and to increase the resilience of critical energy infrastructure against cyber and physical threats. I look forward to discussing all these issues with you today. I'm pleased that we have not only ministers and other high-ranking guests here today, but also representatives of transmission system operators and offshore wind industry, whose participation will contribute significantly to today's discussion. And I also hope that this discussion can lead to concrete, practical solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Kreivys, and thanks to all keynote speakers for being very disciplined. I think before we go to coffee break, a few takeaways of these keynote speeches. I think the security, well, it's not a new topic in energy field, but the topic which has been increasing in its scope and recent events only proved that we need to pay attention there. There was an important message on grids that will be passed to the new Commission, and here I would like to thank Minister van der Straten for making this point. And the last observation, of course, is that unity and cooperation are the guiding principles of our green transition. Importance of action at EU level, including financial contribution, is important. And for this region, Connecting Europe facility was instrumental in transforming us and connecting us. And in the beginning of the war in Ukraine, the Baltic region was the source of resilience of the EU. So I think it's a very good example that similar financial contributions should be continued. And of course, our green industry is at the crossroads, both because we have huge foreign competition, we have increased interest rates, and there I think governments can also contribute with smart and efficient regulation, also on smart and efficient cross-border solutions so that we develop our infrastructure in the most efficient way. Now we have a coffee break until 10:15, and then I invite you all to reconvene 10:15 sharp in the same room. Thank you. Thanks a lot.